I was going through my gear this weekend and I realized I have way too much paintball gear that I am just not using. So what I want to do is I want to sell it online, but I thought that I could show you guys some quick, easy tips on how to make more money when you're selling your paintball gear online. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. Now, if you're anything like me, we've been collecting paintball gear, we've been having paintball gear, and we have too much stuff that we don't even use anymore. Now, whether we're keeping it for just sentimental value or maybe we just haven't had the time or energy to sell it, now might be a good time. It's winter time, we would like some extra cash for spring so that we can get ready for the 2022 season. And in order to do that, we gotta make some room, or at least make some money. So in order to do that, unless you're going to get rid of your gear by giving it to a newbie, selling it to a buddy, or having a paintball store commission it, you're most likely going to be selling it online. Now, in order to sell it online, it has to look good. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how can we do some nice photographs that, one, have more people interested in your photos. Then when they're more interested in your photos, they're more likely to look at your stuff. If they look at your stuff, they're more likely to bid on your stuff. And then the more bids means the more money that comes back to you that then you can spend on more paintball gear, which is kind of the whole circular argument, right? So let's go over some quick tips. Now, in order to set up for your photographs, one of the most important things is lighting. Because when you take the photograph, you want to make sure that you're able to see it. And when it gets dark or cloudy, it doesn't work very well. You can't see all the details. So you want to make sure there's lots of light. Ideally, I prefer soft light because with that, you get not only quite a bit of light, but it doesn't create hard edges of shadows that can be distracting. The other thing is when you look at your location, you want to figure out what you're going to put in as the background. You don't want something that matches whatever you're selling. So for example, if I have a black paintball gun, I'm not going to put on a black background. It doesn't show the detail. Instead, I either want something that complements or contrasts. So for a black paintball gun, I'll either put it on a white background or I may put it on something more neutral depending on it. The other thing is I also scored just some foam core, black and white. These were $1 a pop at the dollar store. So they're very easy to add as a background, very cheap and easy. And even if you don't have that or can't get out, you can also lay down like a bed sheet or something else that you have that's a very neutral color. All right, now the first thing you want to do when you're selling your gear is actually just take time to clean it. You know, you get a microfiber rag, you can have some Q-tips, some other things. You want to get it clean because it's kind of the golden rule. What type of equipment do you want to receive? You don't want to receive dirty equipment. You don't want to receive it all just covered in paint and gravel and nasty stuff. No, you want it nice and clean. So if you're going to be selling your stuff, you want to make sure you get it as clean as possible within reason. You just don't want to sell dirty stuff because if I look at the picture and I see that it's dirty, I'm not interested in making a bid or I'm not looking at it. Or I may just look at you as a buyer and go, I'm not buying anything from you because I see how you treat your equipment. Now that we have where we're going to take the photo set up with proper lighting, good background, we want to talk about what types of photos we're going to do. The number one important shot that we're going to do is what's called a flat lay. So if you think of it like a box, you're going to be taking just the very top part of it. And this is the most common one you see. If you go online and look at different companies that sell paintball products, and you look at those paintball guns, almost all of them show a flat lay shot, which is like a profile shot. This is going to be your most important one because it's probably the first one that you're going to put up online. So when people are scrolling, they can see exactly what you're selling. The second shot we're going to look at is what's called a detailed shot. This is where we're going to specifically focus on some of the most important aspects of your gun that maybe you want to give attention to. This can be the name of the marker, special features on the marker, some characteristics on it. One thing that I like to do, for example, that's a quick, easy one, is I like to take a photo down the barrel of it just to show how smooth it is. That's kind of like a more micro shot, but it also shows the detail to it. Because if somebody's interested in your equipment, they want to know more. And if they want to know more, you represent through the photographs. And the way you do that is by giving close-ups, you give features. This is very common when you start seeing like advertisements for new paintball equipment. They'll show the small features, whether it's the grip or like toolless disassembly, the feed neck. They'll just show all these different aspects to it. And they show just the little minute parts because they want to get your attention to that. We can use that same principle by doing it with ours. The last type of Photoshop that you can do is what's called a product shot. And this one adds a lot more depth. So unlike a flat shot that is just, it's kind of one layer, one depth. And then also like the micro that's very close in, what you're actually doing is doing almost a kind of a three-dimensional lay in there. So what happens is you'll have, this one gets to be a little bit fun because you actually have not only your product, the paintball gun that you're selling, but you also have the background in the foreground. So now when you do that, you want to make sure that you pick the objects that are actually related to paintball. You don't want to pick up random things just to pin in there, because then it just starts making it look busy and it's distracting. So here's an example that I did when I took my marker right here, my mini mag, and I decided to put a background foreground. Now, I don't need to put a lot of detail, a lot of thought into this, because my main focus is the paintball gun. Anything else that I put in, if it distracts from that, shouldn't be there. So ideally, a lot of the stuff on there is kind of the perimeter, it's kind of pushing the focus more toward that middle. This gets to be a little bit more creative, so if you're interested in doing more photography stuff, this gives you a lot of options and a lot of fun stuff you can do with it. It also makes it more interesting, because as if someone is going and looking through those pictures, they see one of these, it just kind of gives a little extra pop for those who have been looking at your stuff, but maybe haven't bid yet. So when it comes to editing, we're just gonna keep it really basic and really simple. There's really main two aspects that you need to remember. One, the very first one is cropping, which means you wanna cut out a lot of dead space out of the photography. Because with paintball, there is a lot of dead space. There's a lot of space because you have the barrel, you have the hopper, you have the tank. And if you look at the full perimeter of that, that's a lot of wasted space. So you want to tighten that down to specifically what you want the viewer to focus on. The next thing is just some basic color editing. This is not going deep, finding spending hours getting your balance right. Usually you're just balancing the white balance, which is mostly automatic on most cameras right now. And the other part is you just want to make sure the color looks good. So sharpen that up, do a little bit. Don't spend a lot of time, but you definitely want to make it look good. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit like. If you have any comments, please leave them below. One thing I would like to know is which type of shot do you think would be most valuable for you selling your paintball gear? Anyway, I hope you have a great 2022 season, and I'll catch you later.